Welcome, everyone, to a Delco Nerd Network Rewind Review, where we sit down and talk about some of our favorite film franchises of the past. On this season, we're talking about some of our favorite video game movies of the past. On this episode, we're talking Lara Croft, Tomb Raider. Joining me, as always, is my faithful companion, Anthony the Gooch. Ragucci. Gooch, how are you?
Trio, how the fuck are you today?
I'm doing fan-fucking-tastic, man. I'm ready to talk a little Lara Croft. I've never seen this movie before.
Okay.
So
I've seen it probably a few times in my childhood.
I've seen it in pieces on FX many a times, but I've never seen it.
Yeah.
Like, it's been on, you know what I mean?
That seems like an FX movie.
Right, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's like playing... Yeah.
Before Marvel movies took over.
Right, it's an FX, yeah.
Tomb Raider
FX has the movies, Gooch.
They
Come
do.
on.
They still do.
So yeah, initially released June 15th, 2001, with a production budget of $94 million, an opening weekend box office of $47.7 million, and a total box office of $273.3 million. It's coming in pretty well, Gooch.
Wow.
Yeah, did
That's
really well for the
huge.
time. Directed by Simon West, written by various. There were many. It was like 4 people who did the screenplay, and then 3 people who did the story. I just didn't feel like listing them all out. If you want to check it out, go on IMDb. You can look it up. So yeah, a lot of writers involved. A little description for you, Gooch. This might be one of my favorites.
Okay. I feel like this could be something very simple, but
It's kind of simple, but just stupid. Okay, video game adventurer Lara Croft comes to life in a new movie where she races against time and villains to discover powerful ancient artifacts.
Oh, that was fucking
It's great, right?
stupid.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
That was so dumb.
Yeah, it's
Video
insane.
game adventure.
They have to, yeah.
What?
That sounds like it was definitely written at the time. Video game adventure.
I mean, it just
Fantastic.
sounds like you just like that's not really like what
We need to tell people this is from a video game. We need to do that in 2001.
ridiculous.
Yeah, but let's jump right into it, Gooch. Let's get into the review here, man.
Let's.
What did you think about Lara Croft Tomb Raider?
This movie was fucking phenomenal. I did not remember, genuinely, this movie was fucking awesome. I had fun from minute 1 until minute 142 or however long it was. I thoroughly loved this movie. I love Lara Croft. I love the original version of her, which is, the version of her we're getting. Obviously, she's in 2001. Only Tomb Raider 1, 2, 3, Last Revelation, and Chronicles are out. Angel of Darkness is the last original timeline Tomb Raider that had yet to release. So there's really only one version of the character we're going off of here. Mm-hmm. And Angelina Jolie is Lara Croft. The perfect casting. And I feel like she was not only up to the job, but willing to do things that a lot of actors would not be willing to do today.
For sure.
to achieve the goals. She did her own stunts. She looked the part. She understood how this character could not only be a female badass, but one that isn't compared to men, not involved in a relationship, just things I feel like that female characters kind of fall into when it's like, oh, we have a female badass character. Well, Lara Croft is not competing with anybody. She's not racing after anyone's heart. She just feels like an absolute badass of a character in more ways than one.
Huge. I'm not gonna lie, that's a really good point in the way of to have a female lead in a movie in 2001.
Angelina Jolie.
That doesn't have
a sex icon.
That doesn't have a romantic involvement of some. I mean, I guess that's not true. She kind of does
There's
a little
some
bit
sexual
with
tension with her and Alex West.
and Alex West.
And I feel like, and that's fine.
But I agree with you.
They're colleagues.
You could have also, for the time, that's so tame. I would have expected that to be lent into way more, I should say. And I think that's a very good point. That's very interesting.
I love everything about this movie. Is it the greatest movie ever? No, but I think for what it is and when it was made, it feels early 2000s. The music,
in the best way,
while not being very Tomb Raider at all, works.
It's as 2000s as you can get.
The techno-y kind of rock,
whatever's
tracks,
happening going on.
It just works. I feel like they just kind of understood that we're gonna make a video game adaptation here, and we're not gonna be in universe, and we're gonna observe and look at the character of Lara Croft, who she is. and kind of do our own thing. They did exactly that to the T.
And they definitely aren't afraid of the sexuality of the character either.
Yeah, they understand that who Lara Croft is, where she is in her career, how she acts. She's very cocky. I think she thinks she is hot shit, and I think, for all intents and purposes, she pretty much is. And she knows that. And
she has that Indiana Jones confidence.
It's Indiana Jones and Bond together, but I think like there's a confidence that original Lara Croft has that like isn't seen in the 2013. And we're not getting an origin, which I really like. We're right in. And it's like, you don't really need to understand who Lara Croft is. She's an archaeologist, and she's sort of like an Indiana Jones type,
like adventurer.
Yeah. And like, she's not like, she's going in tombs, but like she's going to encounter like rival archaeologists or groups trying to take these artifacts for their own good. And she's equipped to handle those threats.
I mean, has the like that's a great comparison. Has that been like the idea of like Indiana Jones and Bond? Was that like the initial idea for her, or did you just come up with that? Because I think that's a great way to describe her in this, actually.
I stole that from Angelina Jolie. She said that in an interview.
I love it. No, that's a great way to put it.
I probably thought about that myself, but like I'm like, no, like especially her version of the character, it does feel like
for
that.
Sure.
But I mean, she's not sleeping with men, but like she, they're. I think I had my sexual awakening watching this film. As I was watching it, I'm like, oh no, I remember that backside boob so well that I'm like, holy shit. It inspired little kids.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I can't help but agree, Gooch. I was actually blown away by how much I enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, it's so fun.
I mentioned this. We were just doing our DNNs, which you should absolutely check out. This movie has some sauce. There's some sauce in the 2000s, especially that they were just adding to these films when it comes to just how they were shot. They're weird catty, I forget what the exact term is, but like weird angles, and like they're shooting up on someone's face. Like when they're raiding the fucking Lara Croft manor, they just have the one shot of the dude. It's at a weird angle, and he's like making a call, and the lightning's flashing, and it's just right up on his face.
Pouring
I'm
rain.
like, this is
let's go.
Yeah, I'm like, this is fucking cool. Yeah. And then she's doing her weird ballerina like dance in the middle on the bungee cords, and that entrance when she jumps back on top of the chandelier, and they all come down and through. The action in this is great, and even that weird CG robot scene at the beginning was but it was still pretty good.
So let's start with the Cirque du Soleil thing she's doing. I feel like Lara clearly doesn't have a normal life.
Yeah.
She's really rich.
Yeah.
Like really rich.
She's a manor.
Not only from her own exploits, but her family legacy that she's left from Croft Manor.
Yeah.
Her parents are usually dead and gone in every version.
They don't really mention the mom, right? I feel like
they don't. And they do starting in the 2013 games. And I'm trying to really remember when Richard Croft is first mentioned, but it's not a big thread in the original stuff.
I see. So that's been kind of like grown upon, I
don't know if it started with this movie, that maybe they started at like 2013 heavily is into her parents and her and their deaths sort of weighing on her. But I don't think that addition is bad here. I think it kind of makes a lot of sense that like this adventure she's going on is sort of like something from her father's legacy that was left sort of undone, that she is now sort of unknowingly
been thrust into.
Yeah. So, but I feel like Lara Croft is a person who would be doing this crazy shit to stay on top of her game. Like, she does a lot of flips and jumps, and these are like, I feel like that those crazy action when she's fighting that robot and she's flipping and like, the way she's shooting, that's gameplay 1-to-1.
It is.
So like I really bought, especially in the original trilogy or the original games, I'm like, that's Lara Croft. Like, yeah, it might be a little far-fetched if you don't understand it. But like I'm totally buying
Guess what's also a little far-fetched? Indiana Jones. It's kind of like it sits on that like hill just perfectly enough between like disbelief and realism that makes you invested but not go like, what the fuck? This is bullshit. I really think this might be, Gooch, the first good video game movie.
Yeah.
I think it might be. Because, I don't know how narratively heavy those first couple games are.
They're not.
I assume not. They're probably building a lot here. They have the freedom to do that, to kind of build that.
There's a lot of idea with who Lara Croft is as the Tomb Raider.
Right.
Like, you know, like it's there, but I don't think there was enough for them to be like, we're gonna adapt the first game.
Right. So
like,
it feels like this almost influenced back into the
I'm
games.
sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure it did.
You know, it's like the same thing with Harley Quinn coming from the animated series. Like, it's funny how these things can come from different mediums and then feed back into the medium. Even Street Fighter, how we were talking the other week, how like some of those names from the movie are now used within the game. It's just funny how that cycle works. But I mean, yeah, Angelina, that scene of her just ballerinaing around. It's so good.
Having that robot to train on, and she has like basically like a faux tomb set up to kind of like.
I called that, by the way. I was like, this is a training thing. It has to be. Yeah.
And like, you know, the butler and Hillary and Bryce are sort of. So she has a butler in the games, different kind of character, but she has a butler, and he's usually a lot older. And he first appears in the second one, and he's named Winston, and you can like trap him in the freezer. That's a big meme of that game. And yeah, she's had. I don't know if that butler changes, but there's butlers throughout the series. And Bryce, I think, inspired the character Zip, who is a character who is her guy in the chair.
I was gonna say the guy in the chair.
Yeah, like he didn't exist yet.
I was surprised at how much. I kind of was sad how they were kind of relegated for the back half of the movie once she leaves. Because I liked them.
Yeah,
I thought their interactions were fun and they were interesting.
I mean, when the Croft Manor gets raided and he puts the flak jacket
it's
on
very cool.
And he has the shotgun. Yeah.
Surprisingly interesting for side characters and for just brand new characters that I didn't really care
about. I mean, young Ian Glenn is really cool to see. I think he does a pretty good job.
Stacked
as Pal.
Cast in this, I gotta say. Yeah. I did not realize he was in this at all.
And I think, you know, I think it's weird that Daniel Craig is an American in this.
So I had written, it's funny. The first time you see him, I literally wrote on my notes here.
American?
Is he American?
I don't know.
And then he is. He's definitely supposed to be by the end, but he's doing a really harsh American accent. Like Lara, stop now. Yeah, like it's It doesn't feel as natural.
It's gruff.
It is. And I got to give Angelina Jolie credit. At first, I was like,
I don't know
British. How I feel about this British, but then I settled right in. I was like, no, this sounds real as hell. She's perfect. She's perfect. Killing it. She was only 25 when this was filmed, which is wild.
Holy shit.
Isn't that insane?
She wasn't married to Brad Pitt yet.
No, she was married to, or she was going out with Billy Bob Thornton at the time, I think.
Yeah.
Billy
you ever
Bob.
seen that video of them like making out on like a...
God, I don't know if I want to. Probably disgusting. It's funny, he's an odd dude.
Billy Bob Thornton is weird.
Yeah, he's an odd dude. But yeah, dude, the action... The characters surprisingly strong for me.
Yeah,
genuinely. I just did not expect.
It's weird
because
I'm like, the reviews are like kind of bad for this movie. I'm like, are we watching the same thing? Like, this is like thoroughly entertaining.
It really is.
Like, is it the best plot I've ever heard? No, but I think it services the movie and the characters very well.
By the way, a crisp 100 minutes. I think like 90. Yeah, 100 minutes. The perfect amount of time. I felt like we were in and out. And also, Gooch. The sets, man, big, real sets that they're in.
Filmed in a Cambodian tomb, like they went there.
It looks awesome.
And the behind the scenes are talking about like we could not build this on a set, and they like I think we do have to start watching the behind the scenes and stuff.
It's a good idea. I forget about that. That's a good idea. Yeah,
when it's available. I'm sure not every movie might have behind the scenes, but yeah, it was really informative because the directors was like, yeah, we didn't go to Siberia for the Siberia part, but we filmed in Iceland,
right?
And we're kind of getting this like snowy environment, and they said they wanted to stay away from Egypt, and I'm like, I kind of get that.
That's cool. That makes sense.
They didn't want sand, and I think it's because Indiana Jones,
right?
I think
absolutely.
It's they didn't want to get compared.
They
to that.
want to separate, yeah, for sure.
And then instead they went to Khmer, which is like Thailand, Sukhothai area from Indiana Jones, and they went to a tomb and they filmed in. They had extras from the area, and like they were like like villagers, and these people are actually like people who probably would have been like hired to do that work that they're doing to like kind of like excavate tombs and stuff like that. Filming on location, real sets. No CGI. There's a few moments of CGI with like that black goo that was like very dated looking. It was tough. But
and even the robot a little bit for sure. But then they did have a real robot too.
The Temple Guardians I think look pretty good for the most part.
For
like
sure.
Nothing crazy good, but like I was like not pulled out of it by them.
She was, and I do appreciate how she's just not thrown off by the mysticism of it all. I can appreciate that in the new ones they decided to squarely take it a more realistic route, but there is
mysticism in the new ones.
I'm sorry, in the movie, it's just like a disease in the movie. It's not like there's no ghosts or anything like that, but in the game it is. Yeah.
I think it's important. I think
I agree.
She always, like, in the first game, like, you know, it's about the lost civilization of Atlantis, which I think the plot of this, whatever the artifact is that reverses time, I think kind of plays off that idea that there was a civilization that got a hold of this artifact and it was destroyed.
All right.
The first Tomb Raider is dealing with Atlantis. It falls and like something comes of that, and there's like artifacts from it, and that's sort of what it's about.
Right.
And it takes a very interesting approach at like what Atlantis looks like. But yeah, I think they kind of use some ideas from at least the first game. I wouldn't say any of the others per se.
Right.
But you know, like she does start encountering like groups in 2, and she's not just killing like wildlife, she's killing like people.
Right.
Or like weird alien things or weird mythological creatures and stuff like that. Like she does kill people, and like is she a killer? No. I actually genuinely believe, like, I think in 2013 there's a problem with how many people she kills, and there's a whole plot line about that. But I feel like in the movie and in the original, she's really just killing the goons and these people who are trying to, ne'er-do-wells and trying to get
it's like, they're bad, so it doesn't matter if we kill them. Like, it wasn't even really a thought.
But I feel like her ethics are more cemented in this one. Like, I don't feel like she's a bad person. I feel like she knows what she's doing is good. And
she'll kill the bad guys to do it. Yeah. If they're trying to kill her, especially.
Yeah. I feel like there's this confidence that that original version of Lara Croft has that I feel like Angelina Jolie understands. And she doesn't really talk about the game too much. Nobody really does, except for like in the beginning where they're sort of pulling from it. But I'm curious, like, what research she did that she like understood the character. Apparently she actually had issues with the shorts.
I saw that she didn't really want to wear them.
I thought that was interesting.
You only see her in the beginning in them, I think.
No, she's in the shorts. And when she goes to commerce, she's in them.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. And but she was talking about like, she doesn't want to wear, like, she wanted to wear like certain colors, so she popped against like some of the backdrops, like blacks. Like she wanted to be monochromatic, so she popped. And then like it works. It's like, yeah, Lara is usually in that blue tank top, but like I think that's fine. I'm like, it's her look. She has the 2 pistols. She uses a few different guns here and there. I thought the scene when they're in the garage and Bryce is like pointing out to where guys are and she's improvising,
right.
And then she's using like some like a MAC-10, which is a gun from the original Tomb Raiders. But I could go on and on. I do
good shit,
really love this movie.
It was really fantastic. I really can. I could go on and on as well. I do think Jolie is the linchpin of it, though. I think the fact that she is so good in the role, she feels settled in, she feels like she's enjoying herself, and seeing her in all those action scenes, seeing her do the stunts, it cements it for me, for sure.
What did you think about West's death on how they treated it? Because they do bring him back. So when he dies, it just kind of happens.
And then he just comes back.
Yeah. Because like they didn't. So I think it would have been bad if they made a big deal about it and then ended up bringing him back, where they kind of like, like Powell kind of knows what he's doing and he's going to kill him.
Yeah.
Because he knows they're going to get the artifact and they can bring him back one way or another.
Right.
So it feels like a kind of like a really calculated move.
Exactly. No, I think it's an interesting kind of plot thread and a great way to propel the story forward. And I don't know, I felt like the final fight with Ian Glenn's character was kind of I was like, all right, this feels like kind of tacked on here. But I did think his death was interesting. But then, when you bring in time travel mechanics, it's like, all right, we're back.
They don't really do too much.
They don't.
Time travel,
you get that moment with her and her dad, which I thought was nice. Her real life dad too.
Yeah, I didn't know John Voight.
Voight,
yeah, is her real dad.
It's funny you said that, and I knew that, and I had forgotten because I remember seeing.
Did you put it in the fun facts?
I did, and I remember seeing like some stuff online where like they don't get along anymore because he's like a Republican and she's very much not. So
it's political.
Yeah, it's political stuff. And there's probably more to that, as a father-daughter relationship. But
yeah. I mean, I don't know what more I have to say.
I don't think so either. I think we kind of covered.
I know we're not
stuff.
Covering the sequel, Cradle of Life, but I am going to watch that.
I kind of want to too
next weekend. Dude, maybe we should just add it.
I don't know. We'll see. I don't know because I don't know if I'm going to. I might. Yeah, that's the thing.
Well,
I think we should keep it
our
to
fun.
maybe another time.
But I was like, dude, I need those posters too.
They're great, especially the Cradle Life one and her in that suit looks great.
Yeah, the looks are great, but fuck, man, high tier movie for sure, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. High tier movie, 100%,
and definitely better than Street Fighter in every way.
Street Fighter, I really like looking back. I was just like, I just don't even really know what's like. I didn't know what to talk about because like the threads were just so strenuous for me. I don't know. It was. I totally agree though, Gooch. I'm with you.
Yeah,
such a fun time. Definitely can't recommend it enough. But let's move on to some fun facts. As I already stated, Jolie was only 25 at the time of filming. Pretty wild to think. Definitely helped catapult her career at this point.
Listening to her interview, I can kind of tell she's young.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Even though dude. Beautiful woman.
Oh, she's gorgeous.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, her jawline's insane. Yeah, it's wild. Lara Croft's father, who was played, of course, by Angelina Jolie's real-life father, Jon Voight, as we mentioned. Angelina Jolie's birth name is Angelina Jolie Voight, which is interesting.
Okay. I didn't know that either.
Yeah. Angelina Jolie received weapons training from an instructor at the SAS to prepare herself for this role, which I thought was pretty.
Yeah, and the behind the scenes, she talks about how like the first thing she did was like weapons training. Like she did a few weeks of strength training, weapons training, fighting. Like she did prepare the role, and again, did all of those stunts herself. Right. There was no double in this movie,
and you can tell because they're showing her face the whole time. It makes it so much better
when
you can see the action happening and you can see the person's face, and you're like, "That's the actual actor." It just makes it feel so much more real. It's why the John Wick movies work so well. It's amazing. All right, so the original cut of this from Simon West was 130 minutes long, but due to some problems they had during filming, with the troubled film production, which apparently this was a little bit hectic, Paramount removed West from the film when it entered post-production, and they brought in expert editor Stuart Baird, famous for quote-unquote fixing up movies if studios and producers weren't happy with them, to recut the film down to its 88-minute runtime. So apparently they were having some issues with the director. He didn't come back for reshoots or anything either.
Yeah, he did not come back for the next one.
Yeah. So Jolie agreed to do the first film because all the locations, she said, because of all the locations she would get to visit. She fell in love with Cambodia, leading her to move there and help with minefield cleanup. This is also where she eventually met and adopted her son, Maddox, which is interesting.
Yeah.
You know what's funny?
All her kids are adopted, right?
They are. This is a very side tangent.
Pretty interesting.
It is.
Especially
it is.
She's like hot, you know?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
She goes out with Brad Pitt, or,
right.
You know, she was in a relationship with Brad
no,
Pitt. They were the couple, man.
She has a biological child. Because I remember,
with
she
him?
definitely, I don't know if it's with her. I think it is because she hates him. I think that's like the famous daughter who like despises Brad Pitt. She like changed her name.
Who hates who?
His daughter, Brad Pitt's daughter, and I believe it's the daughter he had with Angelina Jolie. Does not like Brad Pitt. Okay. He is apparently a very bad father. I don't know. You can look up that on your own. I'm curious as to why. I'm sure she has good reason. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, she got to clean up minefields, which I thought was interesting. I guess, yeah, she
does a lot of humanitarian work.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? Like, because like, think about Angelina Jolie, and when we were growing up when this movie was made, Angelina Jolie was it. Mm-hmm. She was huge. Since 2010, she's not done too much, and we've seen one of their recent movies that she's in, Eternals, which I thought was like, you know, the fact that she was in it, I was like, interesting. You know, I was just like so.
And I actually thought she was great in it.
Yeah, it was just such a like an interesting role for her because again, I think she's just been away from Hollywood for a while.
Well, and I think,
and she
honestly,
still is.
That one kind of makes sense to me because that felt like Marvel's like Oscar film that they were trying to do, and like you bring in Angelina Jolie, you bring in these notable actors, but. Yeah, it is interesting. I feel like, you know, and this gets back to the substance. A lot of Hollywood stars, especially females, do tend to retire rather like much earlier than men because, you know, it's the looks thing. It is like they don't feel like they can get as many jobs. You know, Cameron Diaz, she's technically retired. She doesn't do a lot of movies anymore. She just did one recently. She does voice acting, but like she hasn't had a lot of work done. By the way, she still looks beautiful. But I think she definitely feels that contributes to that, and I think that's for sure
Right.
true.
I mean, Cameron Diaz came on the scene with the mask, and she was like,
She was 22 in that.
She was like drop dead gorgeous. Like that was the point of her character.
Stunning, yeah. And she was also a great actress too. Like as she went on to
and
become.
again, very prominent in our childhood in Shrek.
Definitely,
and stuff like that.
I mean, she was something about Mary, stuff like that. Like she was big back then.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see.
Something about Mary.
So is that what did I say?
Is that what you're getting?
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Another quick side note on these. I heard Colin mention this on the podcast. He's like, he writes for his own voice.
Sacred symbols?
For Sacred Symbols. And he's like talking about writing for his own voice, especially for these things. That's why I feel like I have trouble reading them, because I'm reading them in the way it's written by the article or something like that. I need to write them how I would say them. And I think that's where I get mixed up. It's interesting.
Yeah, something to work on.
Angelina Jolie did her own bungee ballet for this film. And according to an interview with her on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, she injured her ankle on the first take when landing on top of the chandelier after it went bad. So they had to shoot that part again months later after the fact.
So it was a reshoot?
It was. But they obviously they did it first, but she fucked up. That's not the right way to put it. There was an accident. But luckily she was fine.
Yeah.
Towards the end of this, by the way, the IMDb facts were just a shit show of just random bullshit.
I think if we really should start, maybe we both don't need to watch it behind the scenes. But
no, I should.
A
the
20
behind the scenes is a good idea.
Video.
I didn't even think about that. That's a good idea. But this is just a stupid fact that I put in just because I felt it was so stupid. And I'm like, there's no way this is real. Towards the end of the film, when Lara finds the pack of huskies, she says, "Aha! This was a link to the original game where Lara would often use the phrase whenever she picked up an item." Is that true, Gooch?
She does say that.
If that's really they got there and the director was like, make sure you say aha, that's why we're doing this. I don't know. It just seems like a very tenuous thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes when she finds an item, what did you think about the inclusion of the word Tomb Raider? I kind of thought it was fine.
Yeah, it was fine. I
especially when I say
when,
you're known as the Tomb Raider.
Now it's better to have two Tomb Raiders better than one, right? Or whatever. So he says that at one point. It's insane.
Yeah, I think it was kind of fine. Yeah, is it on the nose? Yeah, is it corny? Yeah, but I think it's okay.
It's insane.
It's not like it's like one moment where the villain's like, "Who are you? The Tomb Raider?"
That's me, Lara Croft, Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff, Gooch. I'm glad we watched this. This was a great pick. But I think that does it for us fun facts wise. Anything else on Lara Croft, Tomb Raider?
No, but our next film I think is the doozy of the 5.
You really think Doom? Really?
Doom is gonna be interesting.
I've seen it. I'm pretty familiar with it. Yeah,
I don't remember it. Yeah. I think it could be a big shit show or
That's fine. Yeah.
I think Warcraft and Assassin's Creed are gonna be a fun ending to it, and I think we had a fun start. But I think Doom in our middle is where I sort of get. Is this going to be good? Is this going to be absolute shit or what?
I'm curious. I remember not loving it when I watched it the first time. I
can't wait for the first person scene.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Talk about it, but yeah, a very good video game adaptation, and I think
especially for the
agree
time
with Trio, probably and still one of the best
for sure. I mean, I can't recommend it enough. It's a lot of fun. Angelina Jolie. I
think we reviewed the Tomb Raider that came out with Alicia Vikander.
I think we did.
We may have to return to that one of these days. Because I actually want to rewatch it. Because I think the worst part about that movie is it's an origin story, so it just has all the trappings of that.
I think for me, I remember just not liking how it was just the game. Like it was basically the exact plot of the game. Yeah. I don't know. I'd be curious to go back to it. I think Alicia Vikander's great, but I don't know if I love that characterization more than I like this one more for sure. Yeah. This way Lara's portrayed. But anywho, that does it for us here. Thank you all for watching with us live on twitch.tv/Delco Nerd Network. We appreciate your time very much. You can find this podcast anywhere podcasts are found. Oh, Gooch. I'm not supposed to do the outro. Just search Delco Nerd.
No. Fuck. It's okay. It's okay. Guys, we usually stream on twitch.tv/Delco Nerd Network, but we don't for our Rewind reviews. Where you can find this podcast is youtube.com/Delco Nerd Network or on your favorite podcast service by searching Delco Nerd Network. We're on everywhere with an @ at Delco Nerds. Facebook.com/Delco Nerd Network, or you can join us on Discord where we talk about all sorts of things, including Tomb Raider video game movies and everything you nerd out about. You can find all this information on our website, www.delconerdnetwork.com, or you can email us at at delconerds@gmail.com. That was correct.
Saying, I know it's confusing though, because it's the at and the at, yeah.
You know, if you got any comments, questions, things for the good of the group, please let us know. We'd love to hear from you. But for Trio, my name is Anthony Ragucci. Thanks for watching. Stay nerdy, and we'll see you next time.